Aloha, everyone. My name is Rafonzel Fazon, and I am 21 years old. I was born and raised in a slum area in a small town of Butuan City in Mindanao, Philippines. I spent my childhood days in a house built mainly on wood and on coconut leaves, or nipa, as we call it in the Philippines. Our nipa house actually had holes that gave us instant showers during rainy seasons. And I remember as a child, I enjoyed it so much when there were rain showers inside our very own house. But such joy was replaced with sadness when one night, in the midst of a downpouring rain, I saw both my mother and father standing, waiting for the rain to stop while watching my two brothers and I as we sleep in a small portion of our house where it did not rain. I grew up in a disarrayed family. My father was a drunkard, and he was also a man with a very bad temper. And our family greatly suffered because of that. We constantly struggled for food and money, and on most days, we still have to wait for a father to come home to see if he has something for us for dinner. And there was one night when he went home with just nothing. And our mother, my mother, who was determined to save our family from sleeping with hungry stomachs, went to our neighbor to ask if they could give us some help and promised that we would pay for it when we have the money. But sadly, our neighbor refused to give us any help for fear that we won't be able to pay them right away. And for a very small child, as a young child, I asked myself, why do we have to borrow from other people just so we can have something to eat? I saw the pain in my mother's eyes, and I also felt the shame. Seeing that my family is far from having a better life, I've always felt insecure about myself and about my family situation. Every time Christmas comes, I would always say, maybe next year we'll have a better house, a house that has a roof that doesn't leak. Maybe next year we'll have enough food to eat so that we won't have to worry about what to eat tonight or tomorrow. Maybe next year we'll have enough money to cope with all our basic needs. But for a small child, it was such a struggle to keep that tiny hope I had for myself, because the face of poverty was just right before my very eyes. But the brand new hope started to grow when I became part of Compassion International school-based program. I was 5 years old when my mother first brought me to a Compassion project. And because of Compassion, I got to go to a Christian school. And it was in that school that I learned the most meaningful truth that has changed my life forever. And it's this, that Jesus knows me and that He loves me just the way I am. Because of Compassion, I've realized that hope can actually be found in Christ Jesus. I had my first Bible because of my Compassion project, and one of my very first memory verses is 1 John 4:8, and it says, God is love. And just the knowledge that such a great love exists for me and my entire family has indeed changed my life as well as my family members' lives forever. When I became a beneficiary of Compassion, I realized that I wasn't only receiving aid, I was in fact given the assurance of Christ's love through other people's kindness. Kathy Green, my sponsor for 15 years, has been my example of what it is to live genuine love in action. She showed me how the love of God knows no race, no distance, and no language barrier. I was just once a packet, but somewhere in Australia, Kathy stood up and she chose to make a difference. And I am here right before every one of you, and I say that Kathy has indeed succeeded in making a lasting influence in my life. Through her sponsorship, my mother was brought into a closer relationship to God, and because of her faith led to the transformation of my father. My father, who was once a drunkard, is now a good and faithful father. And he's now a member of our church's evangelism team. Both my two brothers are now in the ministry. Our eldest is a youth pastor, and the other one is a keyboard player, and he's a member of the worship team. Salvation has now rested in our household. Jeremiah 31:3 says, "For I have loved you with an everlasting love, therefore with loving kindness have I drawn you." God chose to bring not only me into His presence, He has gathered my entire family before Him as well. But the wonderful story did not end there. Because of compassion, I got the opportunity to go to a premium university in the Philippines through the Leadership Development Program. And just last March 2008, I was able to finish my degree in mass communications. And by God's grace, I was able to graduate magna cum laude because of the grace of God. And now, I'm becoming an impact to a lot of tribal people, as I'm now part of a 3-year-old missions organization called LUMAD, or Leaders United for Missions and Development. In Jeremiah 18:6, it says, "As the clay is in a potter's hand, so are you in my hand." I was just a piece of dirt. But God took me, totally insignificant. I was that piece of dirt. But God took me and gave me hope and gave me love. And now I am stellar. I shine because of His fame. And now I say that because of compassion and because of LDP and of course because of the grace of God, I know that poverty does not have a hold in me, because the authority of Christ over my life is now in my heart. I am special because of Christ in my life. Thank you very much, and may God gloriously, gloriously bless every one of you, your families, and your church. Thank you.